If I look tired in this video, it's because I am. Now, before I keep going with the music and the editing and all that fun stuff that I normally do, I want to explain how hard it is to actually get some of these assets that we use in our training. If you live anywhere around like a military base, you'll probably see helicopters flying over all the time. And you probably think to yourself, man, that's pretty cool. But see, when I see helicopters flying over, I think to myself, man, it's a pain in the ass. Now, I will not take credit for any of the planning that included these helicopters. That was a different platoon leader in my company. Here's a picture of him after our plea pillow fight at West Point. And a side note, if you want to hear my side of the story, the whole plea pillow fight scandal fiasco, you should check out my video on it. It's down in the description. All right, back to the helicopters. I know that's what you're all here for. Here is how that planning process went. The company commander tells the platoon leader to plan a set of training for a specific date, usually 2 or 3 months in advance. The platoon leader then thinks, man, it would be a lot cooler if we inserted on birds to the training site instead of walking in the Texas heat for miles. So the platoon leader physically goes to the training area site and selects what he believes would be a good landing zone for the helicopter. He then creates a timeline with full air corridors, route plans, bump plans, training plans, and manifests. Manifest, for those who don't know, is a list of people that basically assigns a specific seat in a specific helicopter to a specific soldier and includes all of their personnel data, which must be gathered on every soldier before anything else can happen. Once all this info is created, he then sends up to the Brigade Air Coordination Section, usually a Chief Warrant Officer who reads over the initial request and current plan. He provides any corrections needed to the platoon leader and then sends the finalized plan back. The Chief then packages that plan with an AMR, which stands for Air Mobility Request, and sends that up to Division, which is all the way up here. Then, it's on the platoon leader to manage and track the sent request on a request tracker, which is buried roughly 70 layers deep in a SharePoint that looks like it was made by a high schooler. And it was so far deep down and buried that it literally took us 2 phone calls and about 3 hours to find it. Once it's received at Division, they then send it down to the operations staff of the Combat Aviation Brigade. Once the operations staff has confirmed that the dates, personnel, fuel, vehicles, emergency crew, and their own internal training cycle can support those specific dates, they then send the mission down to the company that will support it. That company then assigns a platoon leader to be the flight lead of that particular flight mission, who then coordinates with the ground platoon leader for any smaller details such as bump plans, proofing the landing zone, and any day of sinking that needs to occur. Things like radio frequency exchange, timeline changes, and finalized flight manifests. Once that has been confirmed, the flight platoon leader sends up through his own chain of command back to Division that the flight is good to go planning-wise, and then stands by for Division approval, who syncs with their own requirements that the flight is good to go. And they have the right to cancel any and all flights at any point they need to include the day of. Once Division gives the green light, the ground platoon leader is then clear to finalize the plan with his own company, and then he must conduct what's called load training. Now, there's 2 types of load training, hot and cold. Cold load training is what you saw in last week's video by the flight crew, who will then train the soldiers how to properly enter and exit a bird while it's stationary and the helicopter is completely off. Hot load training consists of staging at the pickup site in the exact manner that would occur the day of the mission, in which the birds fly in, everyone hops in, and then immediately hops out, and the birds fly off. Cold load training is more common as it requires less planning and time, but hot load training is always preferred if it can be supported. And only after this load training is complete can the mission actually go forward on the day of execution, and it ends up looking a little like this.